Welcome to the whirlpool of the unsolved, where the unsolved is questioned and dissected. I'm Frank. In today's episode, we will be talking about the unsolved case of Tara Calico. Who would have thought that a bike ride would lead to such a mystery? Young and still having a whole life ahead, but possibly cut short. Tara Calico disappeared with nothing to lead investigators to her possible location or lifeless body. A mother who warned her daughter of the dangers outside after feeling she was being stalked. She advised her daughter to take mace with her on her daily route in case something happened. But denying such advice may have led to her demise or kidnapping. A case thankfully still open, but yet unsolved, with plenty of questions and little answers. So let's talk about the location and the person that we're going to talk about in this case, which is Tara Calico. The location that this happened in her disappearance, at least, where she disappeared from, was in Belen, New Mexico. This case, as you can tell, like I said, it's going to be revolving around Tara. Her middle name is Lee Calico. So this was something that happened in New Mexico, and honestly, I never really noticed a lot of things that happened in New Mexico in general, but nonetheless, when you're starting to do these type of podcasts, you kind of start finding other things that you've never seen before. Tara Calico I knew little of, but I've heard about this case. I hear a lot about different cases, but this is one that I've heard of but never really dug deep into, and this is going to be one of those episodes where we're going to dig as deep as we can and just learn about this case and what we think about it. This incident occurred September 20th of 1988. This is when Tara Calico disappeared. She went out for her daily bike ride, like I said earlier in basically the summary, taking the same route that she has for a while. So this is a route that she actually normally would take on a daily basis. But before she went out for her ride that specific day, her mother had suggested she take mace with her, because prior to Tara going out that specific day, her mother kind of, I don't know if it was a day prior or just in general exactly, but apparently her mother has been feeling like she's been, stalked, and she was an active bike rider as well. And she's been feeling like she's been stalked by a motorist. So clearly she has like this worry for her daughter as well. So, her mom tells her, go ahead, take some mace with you in case. And Tara acknowledged her mother and what she had said, but she declined to take any with her. So her mother went ahead and gave her an advice, but Tara just declined to do it. I guess it's because Tara was so accustomed to taking this bike ride. She wasn't so worried. But honestly, if my mother was to give me a heads up or have some sort of worry out of nowhere, because clearly her mother is an avid bike rider as well, and if she's advising you to take something with you, there's a reason for that. It's not just she all of a sudden wants you to do this. There has to be some sort of reason. So that day that she went bike riding, she had plans to go play tennis with her boyfriend at 12:30. So she told her mother before going out to this bike ride, who her mother name is Patty Dole, that if she didn't get home before noon to go and get her. Her mother clearly knew her bike route. So, Patty went ahead and agreed that if she didn't get back before noon, that she would go get her. And clearly, that's what any parent would do, if anything. And Calico, when she left her house, she left around 9:30 a.m. So you got 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. So you have a 2.5 hour bike ride. You're thinking most likely you're gonna do 1 hour and a half to go, 1 hour and a half to come back, shower, whatever the case may be, and then continue on with your daily plan, which her plan was to actually play tennis with her boyfriend at the time. So after she left, when noon came around, her mother saw that she hadn't arrived home yet. So clearly, her daughter tells her, Calico tells her, "Hey, mom, if I don't get back before 12, come and get me because I have plans with my boyfriend." So Patty, she realizes that her daughter isn't back. Now, honestly, I think that her mother probably was even more worried than anything. And there's nothing that indicates that in general, nothing that I've read or I've seen. But I'm assuming that it was stuck in the back of her head because she's been feeling stalked in general herself, and her daughter not taking what she advised her to take kind of probably put some sort of worry in her. But clearly, Tara was already, I think, 19 during this time, so she was an adult, and it wasn't like her mother could force her to do anything that she didn't want to do. So her mother ended up heading out onto Tara's normal route, which was along the New Mexico State Road 47. So this was her normal route. It was along, the state road. After searching for her on her route, Patty couldn't find her. So because she couldn't find her, she immediately called the police to report her daughter missing. So I can only imagine what was going through her mind, because from what I can see, Tara was very she was very responsible. And if she told her mother, "Hey, mom, if I don't come back before noon, come get me," that means that she was serious. But clearly, she probably could have gotten lost in the ride, because sometimes you get lost in the mood. So she's probably listening to music, taking this bike ride, getting lost in the moment, and things like that occur. So her letting her mother know, "Hey, mom, come pick me, come get me if I'm not home by this time," is just letting her mom be aware that, hey, I may be getting lost in the moment or something like that, and I probably forgot to turn around. So just come get me, or I'm probably already on my way home, and it took a little bit longer than what I expected. Just come get me. And her mother, keeping her promise, she went out to look for her daughter, and clearly her daughter is nowhere to be found. I can only imagine what's going on in Patty's mind when it comes to this, because clearly she was feeling some sort of way prior to her daughter leaving. If somebody's warning you about something, it means that they're feeling a certain type of way about something in general. So if she's telling her daughter, "Hey, I know you're going out on this ride. Hey, I ride too, but as of lately, I've been feeling like I've been stalked and stuff like that. You should take this with you." Clearly, she already has this certain feeling of her leaving, specifically that day, which is kind of wild, if you ask me. So she ends up calling the police, reporting her daughter missing. So after that, I was looking into evidence and what was happening with the investigation. From looking around and researching this case, there really wasn't much evidence. To be honest, this is probably, I know that a lot of times when you're doing these unsolved cases, there's not a lot of evidence and stuff like that, but normally you have some sort of fingerprint or something to kind of have to use against whoever you're gonna prosecute. In this case, there really wasn't anything. So there wasn't much of evidence. The only thing that was found was Tara's Walkman, which was in pieces alongside her bike route. But the crazy part about it was the bike itself was never recovered. So this is when I say that this is one of those cases where there's really literally little to nothing. All they found was her Walkman in pieces. There were witnesses that apparently saw Tara riding her bike, but no one saw the possible abduction of Tara Calico. Outside of that, there was no other additional evidence of her abduction that I can find, unless authority kept certain things from the public for a reason, which we have seen before in other cases. They want to keep something to the chest, so just in case if they do have some sort of a suspect, they can use that to prosecute them and put them away behind bars. So yeah, it's very, very possible that they withheld some sort of evidence just for that reason. Now, if you don't know anything about this case, let me just let you know this. This case is one of those cases that apparently photos of this person was found, of Tara Calico, and it's a very strange case nonetheless. And I looked at the photos and everything, me personally, and I'm just gonna talk about them now. So there were, like I said, some photos that were found, which people believed showed Tara and unidentified boy tied up and their mouth were taped. They looked to be in the back of a truck of some sort. From the way the picture, like the scene of the picture, you can kind of see the metal sheet in the background that looked to be like the bed of a truck, the door. So it looked to be either a van of some sort or a truck. In the photo, there were blankets and pillows, as well as a book on the side of the woman that was believed to be Tara. This photo was actually not found in New Mexico, but it was found in Port St. Joe, Florida. The photo was a Polaroid photo as well, so it was one of those instant photos. An instant photo, and this photo was found in a parking lot of a convenience store in Port St. Joe, Florida. Now, this isn't the only photo that was found that was believed to have her in it. There has actually been numerous photos, but this is one that is the most talked about. Like if you Google search Tara Calico photo, this is probably the one that would first show up when it comes to this case. This photo apparently was found in the area where Toyota cargo van was parked. The person who claimed this was the woman who found the picture. So this woman that found the picture, she remembered a Toyota van, a cargo van, being parked there at that location where the photo was found. Clearly, after getting this picture in their hands, the police set up roadblocks to find this van. So immediately, once this woman reported this photo, they immediately set up roadblocks just to see if they can get their hands on this van. The woman who reported this photo also said that she saw the man that was driving the van. So that's another clue to possibly finding Tara, right? He had a mustache and she believed him to be in his 30s, but the man was never identified, nor the van was ever found when they committed to the roadblocks. They had analyzed the photo and agreed that the photo had been taken after May of 1989, based on the fact that the film wasn't available until then. Now, keep in mind, Tara, if she was abducted, she was abducted in September of 1988. So this would be almost nearly a year after the abduction. So the fact that the photo could have been taken nearly a year, if this person did abduct Tara, he was practically holding her hostage. And we'll talk more about the photo, about my personal belief about the photo exactly, uh, in a little bit. But after watching A Current Affair in July, Dole's, which is Patty, friends reached out to the Dole family, sharing with them the photo that was broadcast. So this photo was broadcasted on A Current Affair, and it was Patty's friends that seen it and then reached out to her. Patty then believed that the woman in the photo may have been her daughter, Tara. She mainly believes such a thing due to the scar on her leg. So apparently there was a scar on her leg in the photo, which Calico also had due to a car accident, as well as the book that was beside her in the photo, V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina. Those were the main reasons for her believing it was her daughter, because apparently that was Tara Calico's favorite book. Outside the fact that they had looked almost identical. Uh, if you ask me, I don't feel that way, but we'll talk about that a little further down the road. I just want to give you more input on this case. Now, the photo was analyzed, and some confusion can be brought up with two different outcomes with the analysis. The photo was first analyzed by Scotland Yard and concluded it was Tara Calico in the photo that was found in Florida. But a second analysis was done by Los Alamos National Laboratory, and they disagreed with the conclusion of Scotland Yard. So now we have uh, two different laboratories that analyze this, and they're against each other in this case. Now, the FBI also did an analysis, and it came back inconclusive. So now there's three. One believes it was, the other one didn't, and then the other one came back inconclusive. So it doesn't know whether or not it is Tara Calico. So it's hard to say that it was actually her in the photo, though her mother believes it to be her. So even through this analysis and all this extra stuff, apparently we don't know if it's really Tara. And that's the truth. These analyses, when you have something like this occur, it's hard to believe whether it is. And you're just going based off of what her mother believes it to be. And, this is a mother that's in pain, that is hurting. She misses her daughter. And the woman in the photo does somewhat look like Tara, at least to me. But I can only picture the fact that her mother is holding on to some sort of hope, which isn't wrong. Now, other photos had eventually come up. In 2009, 20 years after her disappearance, more photos were revealed of who looked like the boy in the original photos that was found in the parking lot. Now, I didn't talk about the boy in the photo because in all reality, I want to try to keep certain things, like certain cases, to that specific person. And the person that they thought the boy was in the photo, they eventually found out, they eventually found his body and who possibly may have killed him. So that isn't a case that I would probably do here on this show. But then again, it maybe happen, maybe not. But clearly, this is an episode dedicated to Tara Calico and her disappearance. The police, seeing these photos, believed it could possibly be linked to Calico. The photos were eventually sent to the FBI in hopes of finding fingerprints or some sort of DNA, but nothing was found. During the same time that these photos were found, a self-proclaimed psychic called into the police and claimed that Calico had run away to California and became a stripper and then was murdered. In her vision, it was just a woman, but she had believed the woman to be Tara. So this woman, she had a vision of a woman that escaped, that went to California, became a stripper, and died. But she kind of said that she believed it to be Tara. So now you have this psychic just randomly coming out of nowhere saying, hey, I had this vision of this random woman. I believe it's Tara, and she's dead. which led her to call the police. So this vision led her to call the police and tell them that, which is crazy. After searching, the police couldn't find such evidence that this could have been the case. Eventually, two other Polaroid photos came up that were found near a construction site in Montecito, California. The photo depicted a woman that also looked like Calico and was gagged and tied as well. The photo's film was not available until June of 1989. So this is only 1 month after the original photo, if I'm not mistaken, and nearly, like I said, close to a year after Calico's disappearance, which leans into around the time the other photo was taken. Like I said, there was also another photo that was taken with a woman loosely bound in gauze and had gauze covering her eyes as she wore shades. She was next to a man in an Amtrak train, but that film wasn't available till February of 1990, nearly 2 years after her possible abduction. Calico's mother didn't believe that photo particularly to be her daughter, but believed that the first one of the two to be her. She believed that they had a striking resemblance. So the first one that showed a woman actually, you know, this is just crazy, honestly, if you ask me. But just finding another photo of a woman gagged and tied that is similar to the one that was found in St. Joe, Florida, Port St. Joe, Florida, it's crazy, and they're only a month apart. So if that was her, it's possible that this person basically rode around with this woman in the back of his van or truck or whatever it was, which is just wild to believe. But her mother clearly believed that that second photo as well looked similar, strikingly resembled her daughter, which, if it is the same woman from the first picture, it would be the case that she believes that. The second one being loosely, tied and all that stuff, it could have just been some sort of game that person was playing at that point, and that happened in 1990. Well, that film was available in February of 1990, which is nearly 2 years after her possible abduction. So that's a big gap, honestly, a huge gap, and it's really wild, honestly. And to be honest with you about the photos, I looked at the photos, and I'm being very honest when I say this. I seen the photo of Tara Calico, and I seen the photos that her mother Patty believed to be her, and there is some resemblance. But me personally, I can see the difference immediately with the eyebrows. Me as a man, you can ask my wife. I've always been a man of features, and I'm very distinct when it comes to features and how features look. And I can tell you from looking at the photo, I could immediately see that it wasn't Tara. There were similarities, but it wasn't enough for me to sit there and say, hey, this was Tara. If anything, I kind of got the idea that it wasn't, because the bridge of the nose, the shape of the eyebrows, there were certain things that led me to believe it wasn't. And I can only understand why her mother would hope that this was her daughter, and hoping that her daughter may be somewhere else and still alive. So nonetheless, I understand that. But me personally, when it comes to the photos, you can check out the photos. Just go on Google, search Tara Calico, and you can kind of see what I'm saying with the bridge of the nose, the shape of the eyebrows, things like that kind of made me lean into it not being Tara. And about the sidekick, listen, this was a random call that honestly, I'm happy that the police actually attempted to kind of figure out if this was true or not. But I can't stand things like this sometimes, because it's like, this is a serious case, And just because you had a vision of a random woman and what happened to that random woman, that shouldn't have given you the reason to believe that that was Tara, unless your vision showed you directly that it was Tara, because it could have been any other woman that went missing or anything like that. So that kind of bothers me, but it is what it is. And the psychic thing, like I said, if it was directly indicating that it was Tara, it would have been a whole entire different situation. In this case, it wasn't. It was just a woman that had a vision of a woman that this had happened to, and she thought that it was Tara. That's just my personal opinion of the matter. To each its own. I do have something else that was said from a sheriff in 2008. In later development, Sheriff Rene Rivera came across some information given to him about two teen boys that had killed her accidentally. From the information given to Rivera, the boys knew Calico and were driving behind her, and some sort of accident followed. Calico eventually had died, and the ones that were involved tried covering it up. Rivera claimed to know the names of those that were involved, but said without a body he could not make an arrest. Tara's stepfather was upset with this information. Clearly, I would have been too, feeling as though that shouldn't have been information spoken out if there was no arrest or no arrest to happen. Honestly, if you're going to throw out some information like this and you have nothing to back it up, you should have never thrown out this information. And to be honest with you, if you have names, to be honest with you, you could have possibly make an arrest. It could have been an eyewitness or somebody that told you this, and you could have possibly in some way, shape, or form use that to make an arrest or find something to make an arrest, and then do what it is that you need to do to get the truth out of them. But out of all the things that I've seen, I think that this is possible. I think that maybe the people that were stalking her mother, maybe they were in a truck, in a van or something like that, and accidentally hit her, trying to get her in, whatever the case may happen. But this information that was given in 2008, to be honest, is like the most solid information given about this case, and it's something that I would lean on even more, especially if this was information given and you have names. Clearly there's not much evidence to kind of lean on that, but still you have something, and something is better than nothing, because we can clearly see that in this case there is almost nothing. You have a broken Walkman. That's all you have. You don't have a bike. You have photos, which, like I said, personally, I don't believe is Tara. But regardless of what, you have all these, you have little to nothing, but you have something that has been spoken to you and with names. You should be able to do something with this. Now, I will say, the good thing is this case is still open, which I'm thankful for. In 2019, the FBI put out a reward for detailed information that may lead to identifying Tara or lead to an arrest and conviction of those who were involved. So if you have any information, I ask that you reach out to somebody, because cases like this is very heartbreaking. All these unsolved cases are heartbreaking, and you have people that care about these people that just want this nightmare to end, even though it may never end, but they want justice. So if you have any information that may lead to any of these things, go ahead, contact the FBI or your local police department, sheriff department. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Whirlpool of the Unsolved. Check in next week for a new episode, and make sure that you like the podcast and follow the social media pages: Instagram at Whirlpool of the Unsolved Podcast, Twitter at WO Unsolved Pod, and the Facebook page. Till next time.